Welcome back to Brandon Sports, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing day. Here to go over all of the NFL games that transpired on Sunday. Before I get to my review, please hit that like button and subscribe button to the channel for more great content that's coming up. Overall thoughts before we get into the breakdown of all of these games. I thought this was a really embarrassing week for the NFL, and a lot of teams either holding their starters out or having them play in the first half. We'll get to all of that, but I just thought that being a week 18, I was actually excited to see a lot of these games. I told you guys in my predictions that a lot of these games were going to be basically stat games. And what I meant by that was a lot of people are just going to get their stats. Chase Brown got his 1,000 yards rushing. Stephon Diggs got his 1,000 yards. Shout out to Drake, man. He actually played all up until the third quarter, which is actually a good thing to see. You look at Philadelphia, they needed Jalen Hurts in that game to obviously compete, and they played a quarterback who should never have been out there in the first place. But all in all, I thought this was an embarrassing week by the league. Some games were actually good, but for the most part, a lot of these games were lackluster because the starters didn't play. But we'll get into all of that once we go through all of these games. First, we're going to start off with the Saints at the Falcons. I thought in this game, Tyler Shuck played okay. The Falcons wound up winning. I told you guys, anytime I picked the Falcons to lose, they wound up winning. And when I picked the Falcons to win, they end up losing. This was an okay game again. Tyler Shuck was 23 of 35, 259 yards, 65% completion percentage, 7.4 on average, a touchdown, and he threw an interception. The running game was okay in this game. They didn't really have any wide receiver help because Chris Olave wasn't there. Juwan Johnson, the tight end, was decent, 3 catches for 61 yards on 5 targets. Even though Tyler Shuck had more yards and a better completion percentage, Kirk Cousins was 18 of 32, 180 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Bijan Robinson had 15 carries for 33 yards. Drake London had 4 catches for 78 yards and a touchdown. Again, this game didn't really mean nothing to me, but it did mean something to the Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Whoever won this game would allow those other teams to go to the playoffs, which Atlanta wound up winning the game, so the Panthers are not in the playoffs. And what's most embarrassing about this, because I know the game breakdown doesn't matter. What's most embarrassing about this is that the Atlanta Falcons, if they beat the Jets, instead of being 8-9, they're 9-8, and they're in the playoffs. And Carolina and Tampa Bay have no shot of being in the playoffs if they just beat the Jets. And I think that's what got their coach fired. It really came down to that. Raheem Morris, and your general manager, got fired. And the crazy thing is about them getting fired is they got fired 5 hours after the game. And what's really kind of shady about the firing of their head coach was that after the press conference, your head coach goes and gives the owner a hug. He gives him a hug, and then 5 hours later, he fires him. What was the point of doing all that? What was the point of giving him a hug? What was the point of even being there if you're just going to fire him? I thought that was kind of shady. I ain't like that at all. But again, I said early in the season that your coach was going to get fired for the way that this team is playing. This is a very, very talented football team, and the way that they've been playing, there is no way that the coach could keep his job for how terrible that they look. But all in all, this was an okay game. I don't really have a breakdown from it. It was a fun back and forth for a Week 18 game. At least some of the starters did play in both of these games. But all in all, it was okay. Atlanta wound up beating the Saints 19-17. Again, both teams, I just don't understand why the Saints kept winning out. You could have had a better draft position, but maybe they just didn't care about it. But all in all, the Falcons, when you get a new general manager and a new head coach, everything should be fine. But your coach was destined to get fired for the way that you guys played. Hopefully, these two teams have a better year next year. But all in all, it was a decent game for what it was. Falcons beat the Saints 19-17. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, for me in this game, again, I told you guys that Cincinnati had to win out, but they ended up not winning out. They went 6-11 for the season. Cleveland Browns wound up winning this game 20-18 on a last minute, on basically a last second field goal. They were 5-12 on the season now. I'm disappointed in Cincinnati because, not disappointed just because you have expectations, but they should have won out. This was a close game. Joe Burrows, I know it was basically a tip pass and got intercepted, but his interception basically allowed Cleveland Browns to basically win this game, even though we'll get to the end when Shedeur Sanders had that game-winning drive. But overall thoughts on this game was Joe Burrow, 29 of 39, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns and interception. He was only sacked twice. One of those sacks came by Myles Garrett. Congratulations, Myles Garrett. 23 sacks on the season. Phenomenal feat. Listen, I know he did it in 17 games, but who cares? This is the new NFL. It is what it is. He got the record. I know TJ Watt and Michael Strahan got it in 16 games, and it took them to get it in 16 games rather, but who cares, man? You guys wanted more football. This is what's going to happen. Records are going to be broken with an extra game. And now they want to add another game. So what happens when it comes to 18 games? You just have to get used to the new era of football and the way that they're doing it. And fans are demanding more, which I want to demand more, but fans are demanding more. This is going to happen. Shedeur Sanders had an okay game. He was 11 of 22, 111 yards. He was sacked 6 times. Again, this offensive line was absolutely horrible. Cam Robinson, the left tackle who filled in, I think he's like the third string left tackle at this point. He's just absolutely horrible. I don't think he's going to be in the league next year for how badly that he played. But all in all, I thought Shedeur Sanders at the end had a great game-winning drive. He made a nice couple throws. He made a nice throw to Jerry Jeudy at the end of the game, even though for me, personally, Jerry Jeudy had 2 catches, 17 yards. He almost dropped that pass. If you go back and watch the highlights, he almost dropped it and didn't hold on to the ball. For me, this game, again, was just about stats and about, for me, Cincinnati winning. I picked Cincinnati winning, but this was about Cincinnati winning the season out. And if you look at Cincinnati, which is, pay attention to the record, they're 6-11. They're one loss away from being the same record as the Browns. With the offense that they had, I know Joe Burrow was out. I know you guys traded for Joe Flacco, who was on the Browns, but this is just abysmal and kind of ridiculous how Cincinnati played. Again, I told you guys, in that Bills game, you guys could have went to, the Cincinnati Bengals could be in the playoffs right now if Joe Burrow doesn't mess up that game against Buffalo and he doesn't get shut out by the Ravens at home. This Cincinnati team was good enough offensively to be in the playoffs again. We knew that the defense was going to be bad coming into the season. But Cincinnati fans should be disappointed because you have Chase Brown who ran for 1,000. You have Jamar Chase who caught for 1,000 again. Shout out to him. You had T. Higgins who played well this year. You had Chase Brown who was catching the ball very, very well this year. You had Mike Gesicki. You had a great offense. Your offensive line actually stepped up. Joe Burrow, going up against Myles Garrett and his offensive line, you would think that Joe Burrow would have got sacked even more. But how good Cleveland's defensive line is. And the fact that he was only sacked twice in this game and you still lose just goes to show you that Cincinnati's offense, for me, didn't do enough. You scored 6 points in the first 2 quarters, didn't score at all in the third quarter, then in the fourth quarter you scored 6 points. That's kind of embarrassing when you're going up against a Cleveland Browns team that at the time only won 4 games and had 12 losses. Come on now, this was not good. But anyway, at the end of the game, Shedeur Sanders had a great drive, got the field goal kick. He had a fumble in the game earlier, which he was trying to rush out of the pocket because, again, there was no protection for him. So he gets out of the pocket. He gets sacked. Again, he played okay. He completed 50% of his passes. He was 11 to 22, 111 yards. Nobody's getting separation. The offensive line, again, was collapsing. He was sacked 6 times, which is a lot for one quarterback in his game. Dylan Sampson, 10 carries for 32 yards. All in all, it wasn't the greatest game at the end. Again, I told you guys this game was going to be about stats, and it was going to be about Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns fans getting his 23rd sack, and for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, this was about just getting their stats and getting their offense to continuously play. But other than that, again, Cleveland beats Cincinnati 20-18. You should be disappointed if you're a Cincinnati fan because, like, what's going on? This team should have been in the playoffs, honestly. If you truly look at this team, they should have been in the playoffs. Embarrassing by Cincinnati to basically lose this game. Next up, we had the Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings. I picked the Vikings to win this game. The Vikings scored 16 points. Green Bay scored 3 points. Green Bay's 9-7-1. I don't trust Green Bay at all. We'll get to that point in a second. Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy was 14 to 23. No touchdowns. He had 182 yards. He was not sacked at all. Jordan Mason had 14 attempts for 94 yards. He played very well. Justin Jefferson, 8 catches for 101 yards. He didn't have a touchdown. He only has 2 touchdowns on the season. And by the way, I want to say this too. I told you, anybody who's been watching my predictions and watching my videos, I told you that if Justin Jefferson did not get his 53 yards, that I would blame J.J. McCarthy for the rest of his career about him not getting his 1,000. So Justin Jefferson got his 1,000. This is the only thing that I care about for this game. Was Justin Jefferson going to get his 1,000 yards receiving? I knew that the Green Bay Packers were going to lose because they were going to lose because they had nobody. They basically rested everybody except for Matthew Golden. I'm looking at it right now, Matthew Golden had 1 catch. This was embarrassing by the Green Bay Packers and Matt LaFleur. 6 for 11, 34 yards. The team was -7 passing in total. Your quarterback was sacked 4 times for 41 yards. Your running back, Chris Brook, had 13 carries, 61 yards, 4.7 average. But other than that, this team was horrible. The NFL is in a huge need for backup quarterbacks. Green Bay was terrible in this game. And J.J. McCarthy also got hurt, which I'll get to that in a minute. But Green Bay, what happened? There was no offense. There was no defense. You guys scored 0 points in the first, second, and the third quarter. And the only reason why you scored 3 points in that fourth quarter is because you called a timeout and kicked the field goal so it wouldn't be a shutout. Embarrassing that you even had to do that. I would have just rather went with the shutout. The fact that you had to call a timeout and kick a field goal because you was getting beat up so bad, because you refused to play your starters and actually get better on offense against a Vikings team that was 8-8 and you're supposed to be 9-6-1 at the time. You could have won this game easily if you played your starters and actually did what you were supposed to do, which nobody gets a rest. I understand Jordan Love with the concussion, you want to give him an extra week. But everybody else didn't deserve a break. You guys are 9-7-1 for a team that was expected to win their division unless you picked Detroit Lions to be number 1. But other than that, this was embarrassing by the Green Bay Packers. Now let me get to the Minnesota Vikings and J.J. McCarthy. Next year, J.J. McCarthy needs competition. He got hurt again. He had a stupid penalty when he basically ran over some guy, which was a great play. He was running, he trucked the guy over, and he had a stupid penalty. Why would you do that. You get a flag, now you get backed up. Again, I don't trust him to be the quarterback of this team. Again, there are other quarterbacks in this league. Mac Jones, I'll take a flyer on him. I'll take a flyer on Spencer Rattler. I'll take a flyer on Shedeur Sanders. I'll take a flyer even on Deshaun Watson. I know people are going to be upset about that, but I don't care. I would take a flyer on him too. I think they're all better than J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy, to me, is just not a good quarterback right now. Now, it's not to say that he's not going to improve, but my criticism of him is you have a great team and you still can't capitalize. I know he's a rookie, but you have a great O-line, you have a great tight end, you have great wide receivers, and you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're the only problem with this team. This team went 9-8 this year. Imagine if they had a decent quarterback play and what they would do. This was embarrassing by the Minnesota Vikings this year. This is embarrassing by the organization that you put Justin Jefferson, you put Aaron Jones, you put this entire team in this position to play like this. This team could be a Super Bowl team. Imagine if you guys had Aaron Rodgers in the way that he throws the football. Imagine if your coach wasn't being stuck up in the offseason and went and got Aaron Rodgers, and what this Vikings team could be doing in the playoffs right now, especially being in this division. You guys went 9-8 with bum quarterback play, no disrespect. It's the truth. Now, if you had Aaron Rodgers or anybody else, what could this team have been? That's why I picked this team to finish 4th in the division, because I knew J.J. McCarthy is the question mark, and he has not answered the question yet. Again, this was embarrassing by the Green Bay Packers, but chalk it up to you playing backups. This entire season for Minnesota, the Vikings fans should be very angry on how inept the organization was when they decided to just come in with J.J. McCarthy, and that was it. You could say Carson Wentz, he did get hurt, but you didn't bring another quarterback after that. Again, just embarrassing by both of these teams, really the organization for the Vikings, but this game was just no effort and no fight by the Green Bay Packers, but that's to be expected when you bench your starters for the entire game and don't actually put up a fight. Anyway, the Vikings beat the Green Bay Packers 16-3, an embarrassing effort. Next up, we had the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. Giants beat the Dallas Cowboys 34-17. I had a huge issue with this entire game. Before we're going to get to that, we're actually going to give the New York Giants some praise and criticism at the same time. Jackson Dart was 22 of 32, 230 yards with 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times in this game. Tyrone Tracy had 18 carries for 103 yards. I thought that was a great game by the Giants overall. All of a sudden, now y'all can play. 8 catches for Gunner. Don't know how to say his last name. 8 catches for him, 102 yards. He didn't have a touchdown. Tracy had 8 catches, 56 yards and a touchdown. Your tight end had 2 catches for 38 yards and a touchdown. This is a good game by the Giants, but my only problem is with the New York Giants is, why would you continuously keep winning? This doesn't make any sense. The Giants had the number 1 overall pick locked up. All they have to do is lose to the Raiders. Listen, I get it. You don't want tanking, fine. You want to play your starters again. I said nobody deserves rest, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But at the same time, you're winning games. Your business has to come into play when you think about this. If it's the end of the season and you're a garbage team, you know that the number 1 overall pick can vet you so many draft picks that you can rebuild the team with the number 1 overall pick. If you had the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and I told you guys, you continuously go down, and just continuously keep going down the draft and trading picks and keep trading down in the draft, no matter what, you accumulate picks. And if you have the right general manager, which you guys do not have the right general manager at all, business-wise, it makes sense to continuously get more picks, to draft more offensive linemen. Then in the 2027 draft, you could have more to continuously help out Jackson Dart. But it seems like for some reason in New York, nobody's thinking, you're not putting your thinking caps on, and nobody's actually thinking about the business side of the football. We get it. The New York Giants are not a good football team. You're 4-13. You should really be 2-15. You just got these 2 wins at the end of the season. But again, this was a good win, but this was embarrassing at the same time, because it's like now you went from being the number 1 overall pick to number 5 or number 6. It just doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. Again, everybody should play. I wasn't mad that they did not bench Jackson Dart. He should have played, continuously keep growing in development. I don't care about that. My problem is when it comes to the last game of the season, you know the Cowboys are starting all their starters. This is when you put business first and try to get that number 1 pick, even though you couldn't get it, but you try to get the number 2 and number 3 pick, and you played your way out of it. Now, you still have a high draft pick, which people could trade up for, but this draft doesn't seem to be great with quarterbacks. There's only basically 2 quarterbacks coming out. I know it's going to be a lot of depth with the defense, alliance especially, but overall, I just thought that it just wasn't a smart business move for the New York Giants to play themselves out of the number 1 pick. Now, going to the Dallas Cowboys, again, I'm disappointed in the Dallas Cowboys for losing to the New York Giants. Yes, you can have both. You could be praising the New York Giants for winning, but also criticizing for doing it. And you could also be disappointed in the Dallas Cowboys. This made no sense. Dak Prescott said, I'm going to play. I'm going to play in this game and blah, blah, blah. Then you had Ryan Clark going off him saying that you need to protect him. He shouldn't be playing. This was embarrassing by the Dallas Cowboys. How do you lose to the New York Giants? You're supposed to go 8-8-1, have a positive season, and continuously build off to that. Change your defense coordinator, which they're probably going to fire Matt Eberflus. But what's going on? You come into this game 7-8. All you have to do is just win. Win the last game. Dak Prescott was 7 for 11 and 70 yards. Come on, man. Why'd you even play? If you're going to say the week before, I'm going to go out there and play, I'm not going to sit down, and you go out there and you only play for 2 quarters, what was the point of you even playing? Because you want to have your starting streak? I don't get it. You're running game Jordan Blue, 16 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown. What was the point of CeeDee Lamb running out there? He had 1 target for 1 catch for 4 yards. George Pickens had 3 targets. He had 1 catch for 9 yards. What was the point of playing this game for the Dallas Cowboys? And then Joe Milton comes in. He's 7 for 13 for 73 yards and throws an interception. This was just embarrassing by the Dallas Cowboys. Again, congratulations, New York Giants. You guys won the game 34-17. The Dallas Cowboys are an embarrassing franchise, and if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm embarrassed too. How you lose to the New York Giants when you're the better team offensively and you're better defensively? Even when your defense doesn't play well, you're better defensively. This absolutely makes no sense. The Dallas Cowboys continues to disappoint. Over 30 years of not being in the NFC Championship game. Remember, since the year 2000, every single team has been in the NFC Championship game except for the Dallas Cowboys, and that tradition might continue into next year because they just don't know what they're doing. This is embarrassing. Again, New York beats Dallas 34-17. Just embarrassing. Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville beats Tennessee 41-7. Before I get into the breakdown, I just want to say, hope Cam Ward injury is not that bad. He was 3 for 3 for 52 yards. He got hurt at the end of the game. They basically took him out, I guess, for safety reasons, but I'm still glad that he suited up and was going out there to actually go play and not sit down like other veterans in this league and actually show that he wants to continue to develop. So I'm really behind him on that. Brandon Allen was the backup quarterback, 17 of 30, 72 yards and interception. This team wasn't really that good. We know that they're not good. They're 3-14 for a reason. We know they're looking for a coach. I wouldn't be surprised if they hire Kevin Stefanski, but if he does get relieved of his duties. But again, Tony Pollard, 14 carries, 48 yards. This was basically a blowout by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, I tip my hat to Tennessee and letting their starters actually play and not giving up on the season. You had a losing record anyway, but again, I commend this team for going out there and actually wanting to play and not being quitters like some other organizations in the National Football League this week. Again, Trevor Lawrence, I said, go out there and get me 4 touchdowns. He got 3. I'll take it. 22 of 30, 255 yards. You can say the Tennessee Titans all you want to, but it's still an NFL team. 255 yards and 3 touchdowns. Travis Etienne, 14 carries and 32 yards. This team is 13-4. One of the best seasons that they had. Again, Trevor Lawrence played an up and down season. Towards the end of the season, he played amazing. The first half season was up and down. It was a roller coaster. Again, I told you guys I like Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun. I always like the Clemson quarterbacks when they come out in the NFL draft. I thought he was very, very good. I thought he was up and down. I never counted that first year when he had Urban Meyer and you guys went through a whole bunch of influx. But now that having Liam Cohen there, when he helped Baker Mayfield get better, you see the results. Again, Trevor Lawrence was phenomenal in yesterday's game. You look at his completion percentage, 22 of 30, 255 yards, 73% completion percentage, and 3 touchdowns. An amazing game by him. Parker Washington is absolutely a good wide receiver. I don't know what's going on with Brian Thomas Jr. He needs to step up for the playoffs. Everybody's stepping up except for him. He had 5 targets. He had 3 catches for 49 yards. But it just seems like Parker Washington is taking all the limelight and the shine, which is not bad. He had 5 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. And by the way, in that first quarter, he had an amazing touchdown in the first quarter. Nice catch in the end zone, in the back of the end zone. But I thought this was a great game by the Jacksonville Jaguars. 7-2 at home, 13-4. They win their division, which is phenomenal. Again, I had them finish in second this year, competing with the Patriots in the 7th seed, but they exceeded my expectations. I knew that they were going to be a good team and have a positive record, but they really exceeded my expectations this year by being number 1. I had Houston number 1, Jacksonville number 2, and competing for the playoffs because I knew Trevor Lawrence had to at least compete to get into the playoffs. But to see this team and the way that they're playing has been phenomenal. Next year, you get Travis Hunter back, hopefully full-time on defense. Remember, Travis Hunter, I know you want to play both sides. This is what Travis Hunter needs to do. Play both sides, right? Master being a cornerback. And once you master being a corner, then you play wide receiver. Just like Deion Sanders, your mentor. He played corner. He did kickoff return. He played corner. He played special teams. You focus on being a corner. And then after that, once you did master that, develop that, you could do what Deion did and play offense like he did on the Dallas Cowboys with Troy Aikman in them. But overall, again, Jacksonville, tip of the cap to Jacksonville, number 1 in the division, hosting the playoff game. Trevor Lawrence, again, has been phenomenal these past 8 games. Absolutely phenomenal. Jacksonville beats Tennessee 41-7. Great job by Jacksonville. Next up, we had the Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans, 38-30. This was actually a really compelling game. Riley Leonard came through today. 21 of 34, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, he had an interception. Jonathan Taylor, 14 carries, 26 yards. Didn't really do much on the ground. Passing-wise, Alex Pierce, had a phenomenal game. 4 catches, 132 yards on 7 targets. He had 2 touchdowns. This is a phenomenal game by him. Again, the Houston Texans did not have Nico Collins. They didn't have Nick Chubb. C.J. Stroud was 14 of 23, 169 yards and a touchdown. After the end of the game, towards the end of the game, Davis Mills came in. At least C.J. Stroud played in this game, which I'm actually glad he actually played because, again, even though you didn't play your other wide receiver as a risk for injury, but you still played your starters. This Houston offense, to me, even though they scored 38 points, which is a good thing, but the problem is, and C.J. Stroud had a rushing touchdown, but the problem really is that during the playoffs, you're facing the Steelers next week, and we're going to see how you're going to fare against that defense. Even though they can be had against Pittsburgh Steelers all year, can be had, but how is your offensive line going to hold up? The same question that we're going to ask about the Pittsburgh Steelers, how is their offensive line going to hold up? But all in all, this game was close. The Colts, they fought in this game. They didn't give up. Again, it's sad to see how they were once 7-1. Now they're 8-9. They're eliminated from the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs, which basically is a sad state of affairs because of the way that Daniel Jones is playing. He popped his Achilles, but you just can't really do nothing about. Again, the Texans, they scored 38 points. They basically played well this entire game. Should have done a little bit more for me, in my opinion. But other than that, I had no problem with this game. I'm glad these teams came out and competed in front of the fans in Houston. Houston Texans are now 12-5. The Colts 8-9. You guys need to keep the coach. With the coach, he's done a phenomenal job. You can't ask your coach to do more than what he was doing in Indianapolis. And the fact that you guys were in this game towards the bitter end just goes to show you how your team did not give up on your coach. And the fact that your coach should remain and keep his job. But this is a great win by the Texans, even though the Colts are banged up. This is a great win by the Texans. The Colts will be back next year. This division is going to be a fun division next year if Tennessee actually gets their act together. But you still have Houston, you have Jacksonville, and then now the Colts. You get Daniel Jones back. Hopefully he comes back during training camp or halfway through the season, but you should have something. You need to add in free agency, add to this defense, and I think you'll be okay. And you're going to be 3 teams that are going to be competing, and this division won't be made fun of, and you won't be looked at as slouches anymore. But other than that, again, this game wasn't really nothing to complain about. Again, I'm glad that the starters played. I'm glad that the teams went out and actually competed. Again, Houston beats the Colts 38-30. Had no problem with this game. I'm glad these guys came out and competed. Next up, we had the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. I'm getting ready to rip the Buffalo Bills in a second. We're going to go through the Jets first just quickly. Brady Cook, 11 of 22. 1 touchdown. He has 60 yards. The Jets are just awful again. Breece Hall didn't play. Your receiving core wasn't great. None of these guys did anything. This team is awful. And by the way, this New York Jets team is the first team in NFL history to not have an interception on your defense. You hire Aaron Glenn to be a defensive coach and come in and help to fix the defense, something that you guys thought Robert Saleh couldn't do. And the way that you fired Robert Saleh, got rid of Aaron Rodgers, you got rid of Devontae Adams, you didn't bring him back. This was absolutely disgusting performance this entire year. And I don't blame the New York Jets players. For once, I'm not blaming the players. I'm blaming coaching. Aaron Glenn, you're supposed to be defensive coach, and you came in and didn't do nothing. And I'm blaming the ownership because you meddle in everything. This was absolutely disgusting how this team played all season. And one of the players on the Jets say, listen, we all handled it. No, I'm not blaming none of the players. The fact that you had 2 good defensive players and you traded them, you let Aaron Rodgers go, he didn't like his experience there, you ran out of office, you fired Robert Saleh, you did all these things to act like you guys were so big and bad, and then now look at this team, you're 3-14 again. You're worse than what you were last year. This is absolutely embarrassing. The entire New York Jets franchise and the fans should be mad at the franchise. This is ridiculous. You're probably going to keep your coach. He's probably going to rebuild this team up and then get fired anyway. Because that's what always happens in situations like this. Again, the New York Jets are just an awful franchise. I'm wasting too much time talking about them. In the offseason, I'll give you the keys on how to basically rebuild the team and what to expect from the New York Jets going into next year. Hopefully you guys draft a quarterback and actually get one. The good thing about the Jets, the only positive thing I'll say about them is your 2 left tackles and your tight end Mason Taylor. I like Mason Taylor a lot. And your left tackle and your right tackle is very, very good. Offensive line is actually good in my opinion. Your quarterback is only sacked 1 time, so you should feel good about that. But other than that, you guys have a great offensive line. You get Garrett Wilson back. Hopefully he don't ask for a trade. If I was you guys, if you really want to do a rebuild, you just trade him and just go out and just draft and get as much draft picks as you can and really do a hard reset rebuild. But again, New York Jets are awful. Now let me get to the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, I was so angry at this game because Josh Allen, what are you doing? Listen, you guys want to talk about injuries? It's the Jets. They have no interceptions. Their defense is awful. I don't care if Josh Allen went in there and ran his stats up. So what? Run your stats up. I told you guys, week 18 is a stat week. Play all your starters. Nobody gets rest. It's a stat week. Mitchell Trubisky, I'll give him his praise. He was 22 of 29, 259 yards and 4 touchdowns. He wasn't sacked at all because the Jets defense can't get no pressure. Ray Davis, 21 carries, 151 yards. Why did you even play James Cook if he's going to get 2 carries for 15 yards? Keon Coleman, 2 catches, 49 yards. I think he's gone from this team next year. Dalton Kincaid, 3 catches for 48 yards. Gabe Davis, 5 catches, 51 yards. Dawson Knox got his bonus, 2 catches for 24 yards and a touchdown. Congratulations to him. This was a good game by Mitchell Trubisky. I have no problem with Mitchell Trubisky. Buffalo's defense played well. You got 1 sack on your defense, but I was just disappointed in Josh Allen. You want to keep your consecutive streak alive, then play. It's the New York Jets. I understand if this was the New England Patriots, maybe you just don't want to play because you don't want to get hurt, fine. But it's the New York Jets. What are you doing? I just feel like that's so tacky. It's the same way. I'll criticize him. I'll criticize Mikal Bridges from the New York Knicks. He played every game since he was in high school. Then last year at the end of the season, last game of the season, he comes in, he checks in for about 50 seconds and just gets off the court. That's embarrassing by the fans. The fans came and paid to see you. You go out there, you put your uniform on, you take a snap and don't play at all? Not 1 pass attempt, not 1 rushing attempt. Oh, what about his ankle? You went out there in full uniform. You should just say he was inactive. It's not a genuine streak when you only go out there and snap the ball. This was ridiculous. Buffalo Bills played well. I'm not taking anything away from them. Again, this is stat week. I told you guys. They beat the Jets 35-8, but come on, man. Josh Allen. I know you guys think I criticize him a lot, which I do because he's supposed to be so great, which I think he is a great quarterback. But this was embarrassing that you actually just went and just sat down and didn't do nothing. Come on, man. But again, Buffalo Bills are now 12-5. The Jets are 3-14. They're just awful. But again, Buffalo 12-5 on the season. Congratulations to Buffalo on the victory. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. Now, in this game, Chicago didn't score at all in the first, second, and third quarter. They scored 60 points in the fourth quarter. Detroit scored 3 points in the first quarter, 10 points, 3 points, and 3 points again. They won the game 19-16. Now, Jared Goff was 27-42, 331 yards, a touchdown interception. Even though they were scoring, I still think that Jared Goff had a lot of pressure on him with the Chicago defense. Jamar Gibbs had 19 carries for 80 yards. David Montgomery had 8 carries for 42 yards. Amon-Ra was great in this game, 11 catches, 139 yards. Jamison Williams was absolutely great. He's just so fast, nobody can actually keep up with him. He had 6 catches, 74 yards. Jamar Gibbs had a receiving touchdown. They came back in the fourth quarter and won this game with a field goal. Again, Caleb Williams, they struggled throughout the first 3 quarters because they didn't score at all. But Caleb Williams, at the end of the day, was 20 of 33, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had an interception. I know what he was trying to do on that play, trying to get the ball to the receiver, but it got picked off because I think he was leaning. I don't think he was fully stood upright, if I'm not mistaken. But he was only sacked 1 time. Offensive line did a good enough job. DeAndre Swift had 10 carries for 40 yards. Colston Loveland, a good tight end, 10 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. This is absolutely a great fourth quarter. I wouldn't say a great game, but it was a great fourth quarter by the Chicago Bears. 60% completion percentage for Caleb Williams. Again, I always said just get over 60%, which he's been really slacking on the completion percentage this year, but it's fine. We'll see what they do in the playoffs. And I also want to say that I think the NFC North is the first division since basically Cleveland for all 4 teams to have a positive record. The AFC North with Cleveland, Cincinnati, Ravens, and Steelers did it, I think, in 2023. They absolutely had, all their teams had positive wins. But for me, this was a fun game at the end. I thought, again, the Chicago Bears lacked in the first 3 quarters. The Detroit Lions, at least they got to 9-8. Their third in the division was absolutely shocking, but Chicago being first in its division is absolutely shocking because if you'd asked me at the beginning of the season, hey, will Chicago win its division, I would have told you no. I would have said they would have finished third, but with a positive record with Caleb Williams. So they exceeded expectations with Ben Johnson. They're 11-6. Green Bay's 9-7-1. You guys face each other in the playoffs. You'll get my playoff picks later in the week, but I thought this was a good game in the fourth quarter. Not the first 3 quarters, but the fourth quarter. Chicago showed what they can do on offense, but they just have to be more consistent if they want to get to a Super Bowl or win playoff games with this team. You have to be more consistent if you're the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson, that first, second, and third quarter absolutely means something, especially against the Detroit Lions team that defensively you could take advantage of. The fact that you lost this game and you lost twice this team, you're supposed to get your get back after losing to the 49ers last week. But again, I won't be too harsh. You came back in the fourth quarter, but there just needs to be more consistency going into these playoffs because it's going to be a tough playoff game when you have to face Green Bay again. Now, the good thing is you're hosting the playoff game. So now that you're hosting the playoff game, the home field advantage should be technically on your side. Again, just be more consistent from the Chicago Bears, and you should possibly be able to win next week. But I thought this was a good game in the fourth quarter. Again, I'm glad that Caleb Williams played. I'm glad that Jared Goff played. I'm glad that you guys didn't bench any starters and you actually came out there and wanted to play and give the fans something good, unlike other organizations in the NFL. Salute to the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions for competing, and also the Detroit Lions beat the Chicago Bears 19-16. Next up, we had the Denver Broncos versus the Chargers. The Denver Broncos beat the Chargers 19-3. I'm going to go down the Chargers just real quick. Trey Lance played in this game. He was 20 of 44, 136 yards and interception. He was sacked 4 times in this game. Trey Lance also led the team in carries for 9 attempts for 69 yards. He led them in rushing yards too and passing yards. But he had an interception. He didn't really play well. Again, this offensive line is dreadful. Shout out to Keenan Allen. He got his bonus. He had 13 targets. He had 7 catches for 36 yards. So he got his $1 million. And catches in receiving yards that he absolutely needed, so I'm glad he got his money. But other than that, there was nothing really to write home about. They scored 3 points in the second quarter, and that was it. This was embarrassing by Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, and I'm going to tell you why. I understand that they don't have an offensive line. I understand that Trey Lance was sacked 4 times. But you face the New England Patriots next week. It's going to be the playoffs. You could have won this game if you played Justin Herbert. The Denver Broncos didn't give you nothing. They had 4 sacks fine, but also the Chargers had 4 sacks as well. They just rested Derwin James and Justin Herbert and Khalil Mack. Other than that, the Denver Broncos didn't do anything. Bo Nix was 14 of 23, 141 yards. He had no touchdowns, no interceptions. This was a field goal-driven game. This was absolutely disgusting by the Denver Broncos. You played your starters, which I'm glad you did. I'm glad you didn't rest nobody. Again, nobody should have been resting this week. It should have been competing at the highest level. It's week 18, not a Pro Bowl week. I get it. Bo Nix, again, didn't do anything in this game. You're supposed to take advantage of the fact that Khalil Mack and Derwin James not playing, and you were 14 of 23, 141 yards, and 68.9% completion percentage. You went 14-3. To be honest with you, I have to say this. I say I'm unbiased. I'm not rooting for any team. I'm rooting for the league. Just overall football in general. I come on here and try to be unbiased, give you my honest opinions. The Denver Broncos did not deserve the number 1 seed this year. I'm sorry. This is I just don't know what to say about this team, Bo Nix. I told you guys, I don't trust Bo Nix in the first 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, he turns it up. But come on. You're facing a Chargers team that benched their 2 best defensive players. And then after that, you go out there and you just you give me field goals, no touchdowns, no nothing. I understand you won the game, fine. You're 14-3, have the most closest games in the league, and you go up against a Chargers team that basically gifted you the number 1 seed because they didn't play their guys, and you still come out and put up a lackluster performance at home. This performance was absolutely horrible. I don't care if it was last week. I still want to see football and competing. This is horrible by the Denver Broncos. I understand you won 19-3. It was nothing but field goals in this game. This is absolutely disgusting, in my opinion. Again, I'm disappointed in Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers for not playing to their capability. This could have been this was a rivalry game that could have been a really great game if you would have played your starters with the Chargers. And the fact that you didn't play your starters with the Chargers and the Denver Broncos came out lackadaisical, you could have won this game and stopped your competition for being number 1 in the AFC. That just goes to show you the state of football right there. You could stop your division rival for being a number 1 seed and letting the New England Patriots be number 1. Now, not only did you let your division rival get the number 1 seed, now you got to go to New England with a bad offensive line, and you're facing off against a Patriots defense that absolutely plays well. What are we doing? This just does not make sense at all. This entire scenario doesn't make sense. Now you got to face the Patriots next week. Good luck to Justin Herbert going up against that D-line in New England. Good luck. And Mike Vrabel and what he could do in the playoffs. He takes underachieving teams that you don't think can be good. Look what he did at Tennessee. Look what he's doing in New England this year. This is embarrassing, and I just don't think people quite comprehend how embarrassing this was. I don't care if it's week 18. It's just not the Pro Bowl. If the Chargers play, they win. I picked the Broncos. I'm glad they won. My pick was right. But who cares when it comes to actual competition in football? This was ridiculous. Anyway, Denver Broncos beat the Chargers 9-13. 19-13. This was absolutely ridiculous. Next up, we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders win this game 14-12. No touchdowns, nothing but field goals in this game. I'm actually glad the Chiefs actually started their starters, even though both their quarterbacks are hurting, Patrick Mahomes and Gardner Minshew. But again, the Chiefs are absolutely horrible in this game. The Vegas Raiders absolutely showed up to play. You sacked their quarterback in Kansas City. Both quarterbacks combined 8 times for 62 yards. Kenny Pickett, I think he got benched or he got hurt. He was 1 for 4 for 3 yards and an interception. He was just bad. Aiden O'Connell comes in. He was 10 of 22 and 102 yards. At least he tried to put up a fight, and he wound up helping you guys win. I'm disappointed Ashton Genty did not get his 1,000 yards. He was 25 yards away. He had 975 yards in the season. I think he deserves to get 1,000. They should have just kept running the ball with him the entire game, which he had 26 carries for 87 yards. But I thought that he deserved to get his 1,000 yards. You don't deserve anything in football, but it would have been nice to see him get his 1,000 yards. Again, this was a mediocre game. Again, I'm glad that the team started their starters and didn't sit down like the Chargers and the Philadelphia Eagles, which we'll get to the Eagles. But I thought these teams looked exactly how you wanted them to look. Now, the outcome is different from what I picked, but they looked how you're supposed to look. Backup quarterbacks playing who have no business being out there. Coaching has been terrible for both teams this year. Not much so with Andy Reid, but it hasn't just been going well for Kansas City all year. Again, it's going to be the one down year that they have. They're 1-7 on the road. This was a really horrible year for Kansas City. Again, the Vegas Raiders, you guys have the number one overall pick. And what I would do with that number one pick is I would move down. If you're not confident in getting a quarterback, I would absolutely move down in this draft. You're not going to be able to trade Geno Smith, so you're going to have his contract on there. If you draft a quarterback, let him sit. Let Geno Smith take all the hits and all other stuff like that. He's there for a reason. He's getting paid a lot of money. Let your other quarterbacks sit down and develop with a new coach. If they're going to fire Pete Carroll, which again, I don't think this is on Pete Carroll. Again, Pete Carroll did a favor. I don't think Pete Carroll wanted to come back and coach. I mean, he loves to coach. But to come back for this Raiders team and then for them to fire him when they had no talent, what the Vegas Raiders need to do is trade Max Crosby in the offseason. I would even trade Ashton Jeanty. Because you're just going to waste his prime and you're going to just waste him as a running back. And you're going to get him hurt because your offensive line is that terrible. Trade Max Crosby, trade Jeanty, trade Michael Mayer, your backup tight end. You're going to keep Brock Bowers because he's just a Pro Bowl player. You're not going to trade him. And I would trade Colton Miller, the left tackle or right tackle. I would trade him and try to get picks. This is the time for this team to get picks after pick after pick and trade down in this draft if you don't believe in the quarterback that's going to come out. Try to compete and go get Arch Manning next year. But this Vegas team needs a hard rebuild, and you guys need talent. For the next 2 years, the Raiders should be just going out after talent, not signing huge money free agency talent. I'm talking about drafting talent and actually having a good scouting team that can draft these players. Use Max Crosby as a trading chip. Use Ashton Jeanty if you have to. Use Michael Mayer as a trading chip if you have to trade everybody. Trade all your good players and rebuild this team from the ground roots, from the grassroots, from the bottom to the top. If you have to get rid of all of the great talent to get draft picks that you actually do absolutely draft well, then go do it. There's no problem with that. Everybody knows that this team needs a hard rebuild. This team is absolutely awful and embarrassing. I don't blame Pete Carroll for this. I blame the organization for not giving Pete Carroll any talent, especially at the age that Pete Carroll is at. Why would you not give him any talent? It makes no sense. He came back to me as a favor for somebody. It didn't go well, and now he's probably going to be fired, which, again, I'm not blaming him. Both of these teams are going to be for a little rebuild. The Raiders are going to be for a rebuild for the next couple of years, but the Chiefs are probably going to rebuild in the offseason, get rid of a lot of contracts that they do have. But all in all, again, this game went the way it was supposed to go. Kansas City almost won, but the Vegas Raiders came back with a last-minute field goal. So salute to the Raiders. They're now 3-14. Kansas City 6-11. Vegas wins 14-12. Next up, we had the Los Angeles Rams versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was looking at this game and I'm like, man, the Cardinals are really leading. The Cardinals are actually playing very, very well in this football game. They scored 20 points and you guys are down. I know Matthew Stafford threw 4 touchdowns. And listen, people might think I have a little axe to go on Matthew Stafford. I don't. I think he's a really good quarterback. He played like a top 5 quarterback this year. He led the league in touchdowns. I got no problem with him. He's just not the MVP. I mean, you struggle against Arizona. You're going to say, well, who's a better team, Arizona or the Miami Dolphins, which we'll get to with Drake May? The Miami Dolphins are a better team. They have a better record. The Cardinals are 3-14. Again, I always tell you that guys that they always compete. But anyway, Jacoby Brissett was 22 of 31, 243 yards, 2 touchdown interceptions. I thought he played well going up against this Ram team. I'm not going to really criticize him at all. I think he played well this entire season. I have no problem with Jacoby Brissett at all. Again, your wide receiver, Michael Wilson, had 1,000 yards. Congratulations to him. He had 5 catches for 99 yards. He really, truly is going to be your guy's number one because I don't think you guys are going to keep Marvin Harrison. I think he needs a new team to go to, fresh scenery. I know you guys are moving on from Kyler Murray. Again, this quarterback draft is not great to me. I don't know what you guys are going to do. But if you're going to move on from Kyler Murray and get somebody else, again, I don't think Marvin Harrison is going to be there. You found your new number one in Michael Wilson. You have Trey McBride at tight end. You need to continuously rebuild this team. Again, I wouldn't fire your head coach because I thought Arizona was going to finish third this year in the division because I thought you guys were actually going to build. And every single year, you guys are getting better. But because of the quarterback situation, because of just your division overall, I mean, this division is very, very stacked. NFC West is stacked. You have the Rams, you have the Seahawks, the number 1 seed. Rams are second, then the 49ers. Look at the 49ers. So it's like the Arizona Cardinals were really the odd team out. Again, I had Seattle finishing 4th, and the reason why I did have finished 4th because I didn't know about the Sam Darnold experiment. Again, I thought Arizona was going to finish 3rd. The 49ers would finish 2nd, but they wound up finishing 3rd. But I thought this, again, Arizona, if you guys fought all year, I know you guys are 3-14. If you're a Cardinals fan listening to this, you guys played your butts off this year. Even though you didn't come in an amount to wins, you guys still try hard, and you guys didn't quit, so that's to be commended. But Matthew Stafford, again, was 25 of 40, 259 yards and 4 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 12 carries, 60 yards. Blake Corum, 13 carries for 59 yards. Tyler Higbee, 5 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. Puka Nacua had 11 targets. He had 10 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown. Colby Parkinson had 4 catches for 36 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is a great game by the Rams, but again, do I think Matthew Stafford's MVP? No. Congratulations to the Rams. You guys are 12-5 and 7-1 at home. You guys are going on the road in the playoffs. But again, this was a nice win by the Rams. The Cardinals, again, good fight. I have no problems with the Cardinals. They need to continue to build. Going into the offseason, I wouldn't fire the head coach again. I still think you guys play hard despite the fact that you guys had a losing record this year. I commend this team for actually fighting and actually playing their starters today and actually competing even though it's the last week of the season. You guys still didn't rest anybody, which was to be commended. So at the end, the Rams win 37-20. Again, this was a good game for what it was. Rams win 37-20. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots. Now for me, great game by the Patriots, 38-10. Miami Dolphins 7-10. Listen, they played as hard as they could going up against these Patriots. Defense, Quentin Ewers is 16-23, a touchdown interception. He was sacked 4 times. This is why I said next week, Justin Herbert going to have a real problem next week going up against his team. Jalen Wright, 13 attempts for 23 yards. This team didn't really do anything. Malik Washington had a touchdown. Quentin Ewers played okay, but they just couldn't compete with this Patriots team. Drake May was 14 of 18, 191 yards and a touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson has 7 carries for 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. Trayvon Henderson, 13 carries, 53 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They both had 2 touchdowns. This is amazing. And Ramondre Stevenson had a great receiving touchdown, 2 catches for 22 yards, and a touchdown. Shout out to Stephon Diggs. He had 3 catches for 43 yards. He got his 1,000 yards, which is absolutely great. He had 3 catches. He was targeted 3 times. He got 3 targets. Hunter Henry had 5 targets. He caught the ball 5 times, 56 yards. This was an amazing game by the Patriots. I know you could say it's the Miami Dolphins, but again, for me, Drake May is the MVP this year. He did more with less. I understand they had a last place schedule, and if any Patriots fan is watching this, don't let the media try to do that to you. Well, Drake May had less passing touchdowns than Matthew Stafford. Well, that didn't matter last year when Lamar Jackson lost the MVP to Josh Allen, because that's the same thing. Lamar Jackson had 41 over 40 touchdowns. Josh Allen did not. He even make an all-pro team, and they still gave Josh Allen MVP. So if they can give Josh Allen MVP, they can give Drake May MVP, even though I don't think that's the same situation. Drake May had to do more with less. Nobody expected the Patriots to win this division, unless you're a Patriots fan. I had the Patriots finishing second in the division and competing with Jacksonville for a playoff spot, but the 7th spot. Again, both teams, to me, were supposed to make the playoffs, going to have a positive record, but they exceeded expectations. I don't care if they had a last place schedule, because this team last year was a last place team. Think about it. You get Mike Vrabel, you get Josh McDaniels to come in, and they flip this team around. They spent $100 million on the defense to get players. Now you still have a lot of cap room. Drake May is still on his rookie contract. You still have 2 good running backs on the team. And next year, if a wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., wink, wink, becomes available, you can absolutely go and trade for somebody if you need another wide receiver for Drake May to get even better. Look what Drake May did with receivers that you guys thought was okay. Stephon Diggs is not in his prime anymore, but he's still a great number 2. If you have another great number 1 next to him, he'll be a great number 2 for that number 1. So let's just say if you had Jamar Chase on one side and Stephon Diggs is a great number 2. He's just not, I don't think he's just a dominant number 1 anymore. But all in all, this was a great game by the Patriots. They had 4 sacks. Their defense had 4 sacks. They had a turnover. Drake May did not get sacked at all. Even the backup quarterback, Joshua Dobbs, did get sacked. I thought this was great by the New England Patriots. Again, I'm glad that the Patriots got their players out there to actually compete. Nobody really rested. You started the players out there. The entire starting lineup went out there and actually played. It's called competing, and I'm glad you guys went out there and competed against the Miami Dolphins. Again, I don't think their head coach is going to get fired. I think they want to keep him. They played hard. Listen, the one thing I have to give respect to the Miami Dolphins, everybody thought the coach was going to get fired. They was getting embarrassed. They were getting blown out. They were being embarrassed. They still played well. They came out. They went 7-10. When you didn't expect them to. New England is now 14-3. They're 6-3 at home. They're hosting the playoff game against the Chargers. And not only on top of that, but again, the New England Patriots are 8-0 on the road. I think people are not really understanding the true value of the Patriots being undefeated on the road, because now you win your playoff game. If you have to go on the road, the odds are in your favor because of how you play. This Patriots team is very, very dangerous going into the playoffs. Again, Drake May is my MVP. If he don't win MVP, I'm not saying everybody should ride. I'm speaking tongue-in-cheek, not literally, but facetiously. Everybody should be mad at New England. He deserves MVP. He did more with less. Again, congratulations to the Patriots on being the 2nd seed. You guys beat the Miami Dolphins 38-10. And remember, Drake May is the MVP of the National Football League. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. Washington wins this game 24-17. We're going to go through Washington as really quickly as we can. because I have a lot to say about Philadelphia. Josh Johnson, who's 39 years old, was 14 and 22, 131 yards, a touchdown, interception. Your running back, Chris Rodriguez, 16 carries, 65 yards, and a touchdown. Josh Johnson had 9 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown. This team played decent. Shout out to Bobby Wagner. He's probably going to make the All-Pro team even if they have a bad record. If I'm a voter, Bobby Wagner deserves to be All-Pro, and he should make another Pro Bowl. He absolutely played well this season. I know it was a bad team and a bad record, and you guys went 5-12, but Bobby Wagner is just one of the greatest middle linebackers ever played a game. The fact that he's still this consistent just goes to show you how great he is. Again, Washington wins this game 24-17. The Philadelphia Eagles now moving on to them should be embarrassed. The fact that I said nobody deserves to sit out this week. Nick Sirianni looks very, very dumb today. If you win this game and Chicago lost their game, you was the second seed. This is ridiculous. The fact that Chicago lost and then you lost, they got the second seed and now you're the third seed. This makes no sense. You guys should have played this entire game. The starter should have played. Congratulations to Devontae Smith. 3 catches for 52 yards on 4 targets. He got his 1,000 yards. I'm glad he got his 1,000 yards. Tank Bigsby had 16 carries, 75 yards and a touchdown. You played this guy, Tanner McKee, who was 21 of 40, 241 yards, a touchdown, interception, but the starter should have played, especially after what you guys were fighting 2 weeks ago. I know it doesn't matter. I know that the playoffs matter more, but come on, man. This was an easy victory. All you had to do was play Jalen Hurts, even if you played him for a half, which I despise that. If you played him for a half, you played A.J. Brown, you played everybody, you let Saquon rack up on his yards, you guys win this football game. This was an easy game to get. Now you guys are 11-6, and now you're the third seed. Now you're going up against a 49ers team that can be dangerous. You don't know what's going to happen. I know you guys have a great defense, and they should show up in the playoffs, but now you're facing a 49ers team that you don't know what you're going to get from, and you might lose that game next week. We'll see what happens, but all in all, I was just disappointed in Philadelphia in the fact that they didn't play their starters in this game. This was an easy victory. You guys would have been 12-5, been in the second seed, and didn't have to worry about too much. Now you got to face the 49ers, who's been playing well all year. I mean, they faced Seattle, which is a great defense, but guess what? Now because Philadelphia's offense hasn't been great all year, what is Robert Saleh going to do? Again, Robert Saleh should be assistant coach of the year for the way that he's coaching that team up. Now you guys made it harder for yourself instead of going to play Green Bay, which their defense could be had. The 49ers defense could be had too, but it's just a difference in the offense. The 49ers offense has been playing so well for the past month, where the Green Bay Packers offense has been looking stagnant a little bit with Jordan Love. Again, you got to take advantage of the situation that you are in, and you guys didn't do that. Again, Commanders win this game 24-17. I'm disappointed that the starters in Philadelphia did not play, and you guys lost. It just doesn't make any sense. You guys lost a game that you should have won. Nick Sirianni, I'm looking at you and your organization. What are you guys doing? Been lapsadaisical all week. You guys are the defending Super Bowl champions. I'm just disappointed again. Commanders win 24-17. Tip of the cap to the Commanders. Tumultuous season, but again, you guys win at the end. Commanders win 24-17 against Philadelphia. Next up, we had the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh wins this game 26-24. I'm going to go down to Baltimore Ravens to talk about them. Then I'm going to get to the Steelers and what I saw and what I was actually proud about Aaron Rodgers for. Lamar Jackson was 11 of 18, 238 yards, 3 touchdowns, interception. He was sacked 3 times. T.J. Watt had a nice interception in this game. Derrick Henry had 20 carries, 126 yards. Lamar Jackson, 4 carries, 9 yards. He had a nice first down run that he did. Zay Flowers was phenomenal. 4 catches, 138 yards. The Baltimore Ravens almost won, but because of that last minute, they missed a field goal. They lost this game. I just want to say something for the Baltimore Ravens. Do not fire John Harbaugh. You can say, oh, it needs a new voice. The team needs a new voice. That doesn't make any sense. If you bring a voice in this locker room and nobody responds to it well, you're going to regret firing the coach. Lamar Jackson didn't play bad. He completed 61% of his passes. He didn't play as well as I thought he would have. Now, he had 3 touchdowns, but the completion percentage is what I look at. 61% was okay. He averaged 13 yards per attempt. It wasn't that bad. It was just the Derrick Henry should have got the ball more in this football game. He had 20 carries, but that fourth quarter, I feel like they wasn't giving him the ball. I mean, now, listen, Pittsburgh's defense, I told you guys, can be had. But they didn't, even though Derrick Henry had 126 yards, if you actually watch the game and don't look at the box score and you watch this full game, you would know that the Pittsburgh Steelers was stopping Derrick Henry a lot. He had a nice 41-yard run at the beginning of the game, but other than that, they did a nice job in containing this running game, especially with Lamar Jackson. They was on him the entire time. But Derrick Henry did have 126 yards. I thought in the fourth quarter they should have given him the ball just a little bit more to drain the clock down. But the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line was showing up. T.J. Watt showed up. I know he had that collapsed lung. He was out for 3 games, but if you watch the game and not the box score, you know that the defense played, especially in the trenches, better than what was expected from them. Now, their secondary, I mean, they left a lot to be desired. I mean, my goodness, I don't know what was going on with their secondary. Jalen Ramsey, man, come on, brother. You made Pro Bowl, as a safety. You're a safety this year because you stopped playing corner. They put you at safety and you made the Pro Bowl. I don't understand what's going on with the secondary. You guys got to be more alert and be together. That was ridiculous, that pass that you left to Isaiah Likely. If you bat that pass down, it's over. The game's over. But again, in the first quarter, I thought Lamar Jackson was playing decent. And that fourth quarter, he really turned it up for this football team. They scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. They didn't score any points in the third quarter. I think that was really got them at the end. Especially that interception, you could tell Lamar Jackson was absolutely furious when that ball got batted down, and then TJ Watt caught it. But for me, the Baltimore Ravens, again, they're 8-9 on the season. I don't really have any complaints. I know the play calling, you could criticize John Harbaugh, but again, listen, you retool this defense in the offseason. You keep Lamar, you keep Derrick Henry again. You get better on the offensive side of the ball, and this team has its division. Cincinnati's still going to struggle on defense if they don't get it together. Cleveland is Cleveland. And Baltimore, you don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do at quarterback, so Baltimore still can win this division next year. You just have to be better. Be better in the draft and getting wide receivers, and get better in free agency. Spend the money. If you have the money to spend the money. Draft well. That's one thing the Baltimore Ravens do. They draft defense well. They need more defense on this team. They need more on the D-line. They have a good secondary. They got to get one more piece. Maybe go in free agency and get somebody. But other than that, the Baltimore Ravens are not far away for continuously running this division because, again, you don't know what Pittsburgh's going to be next year. Cleveland is still Cleveland, as I said, and Cincinnati has a great offense, but their defense is so lackluster that you can't trust them. Now, for me, we're going to go to the Steelers. For Aaron Rodgers, was 31-47, 294 yards. 6 yards away from 300 yards. He still hasn't thrown for 300 yards, which is kind of crazy, but he was 31-47, 294 yards, a touchdown. He was sacked twice. Jaylen Warren was running through that Baltimore Ravens defense. He had 14 carries for 66 yards. Aaron Rodgers had a nice run for 20 yards. At the end of this, Gainwell played well. He had a nice touchdown run. Connor Hayward, they putting him in for the tush push. He had a touchdown run. Calvin Austin had a touchdown catch. You get DK Metcalf back next week. You're facing Houston. This offensive line has got to start blocking well and start playing well. For Aaron Rodgers, he's older, so you need it. Again, I thought for me, personally, in that second quarter, when you look at the game or the condensed version, you look at how Aaron Rodgers played in that second quarter. Now, the first quarter, he missed a wide open throw for a touchdown. Again, his feet were kind of off. He kind of shifted his feet. He tried to throw the ball. He didn't get it. Fine. He made up for it in that second quarter, that drive. Now, they went for the touchdown instead of kicking the points. And I've seen people like, oh, you should go get the points. You always get the points. Yes. But if you feel like you're running the football and you're going up against a Baltimore team that you can absolutely run through, then you go for it. Now, it did almost cost them, but again, they still won the game. So that's hindsight. But I thought Mike Tomlin was being aggressive. Now, it might have cost you if you lost the game, but again, he was trying to be aggressive. He was trying to get the team going because of that drive that Aaron Rodgers had. Aaron Rodgers had a nice drive. That was a nice drive in that second quarter. The third quarter, again, Pittsburgh scored 10 points, and then after that, in that fourth quarter, they scored 13 points. Aaron Rodgers, that fourth quarter, that last game, when he had the game-winning drive of the game. Listen, he threw the ball completed 31 passes, 47 attempts, he had 294 yards. I don't care about that. I thought Aaron Rodgers played well in this game, the second and the fourth quarter. Now, the first quarter and third quarter, you can say it was up and down. But that second quarter and that fourth quarter, I know you guys are going to say, well, they wasted all their timeouts. Listen, it was a communication issue with the headset. I get it. It happens in this league. It was a communication issue. He needed timeouts. Guess what? But even when he took those 2 timeouts on that drive, what did he do? He capitalized on those 2 timeouts by they scoring a touchdown. And then after that, what did they do? Went up and down the field on Baltimore in that fourth quarter. I commend Aaron Rodgers again. Aaron Rodgers has played well this year. To me, in my honest opinion, he's the best, even though you could say that this is not really a great thing to brag about. He was the best quarterback in his division this year. Lamar Jackson didn't have a great season. Joe Burrow didn't have a great season. He cost their team to go to the playoffs. Anybody that tells you that he didn't, they're lying to you, and they just want to be a fanboy of Joe Burrow. He cost them 2 games. And Shedeur Sanders is a rookie, so we don't judge him like that. I thought he played well. He had ups and downs, but I don't think he was horrible. Again, I told you guys I like Shedeur Sanders, but again, Pittsburgh Steelers are the best team in this division this year. They're 10-7, 6-3 at home, and Aaron Rodgers played well this year. Even though he's a little bit slower, even though he's a little bit older, he still played well in this game. That second quarter drive and that fourth quarter game-winning drive was great by Aaron Rodgers. Again, wasted 2 timeouts, but he got the touchdown. He made up for it. People can criticize what they want to. You can criticize Mike Tomlin again. I told y'all, even if the Pittsburgh Steelers lost this game, if you criticize and wanted Mike Tomlin fired, you're the idiot. Because again, if you bring a new coach into this environment and they don't respond well, the same thing with Baltimore. If they don't respond well, then what happens? Now you have a huge issue on your hands. Mike Tomlin is the coach of this team. They did a phenomenal job. The defense, again, is still lackluster. But again, Aaron Rodgers, to me, played well in that second and that fourth quarter. And you got to give him his credit for the way that he played in those game-winning drives in the fourth quarter. To me, commend to Aaron Rodgers. I know he's older, but I thought he was great in that fourth quarter. Pittsburgh Steelers win this game 26-24. Great job by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know the Baltimore Ravens missed that field goal and they could have won. But again, Pittsburgh Steelers win. They go into the playoffs. They face the Texans next week. Pittsburgh wins 26-24. Let me know in the comment section down below how you guys felt about all of these games, how you guys felt about Week 18. For me, in my opinion, I was disappointed in a lot of these franchises for the way they just didn't go out and compete. I salute all the franchises, even though they had losing records, that they actually came out and wanted to compete. So I know a lot of teams are going home for vacation. Then you're not going to see them until next year. But a lot of teams did compete in Week 18. I was proud that a lot of teams did compete. But other than that, some teams that didn't compete, we'll see what they look like in the playoffs. But all in all, I thought it was a lackluster week, especially at the beginning. But I feel like this Pittsburgh and Baltimore game made up for it at the end. Again, my record for this week was 8-8. I barely made 500. All my game picks are in the description box down below. If you want to see from week 1, even when I wasn't on YouTube, you can see every single game that I picked this entire week. That's in the description box down below. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button to the YouTube channel for more great content coming up. Until next time, guys, see you real soon.